I can do the intro. Welcome back to We're In It For The Money, the podcast that will hopefully get us money. I am Joe, and I am joined by my co-host Jack. Jack. And we are joined by our good friend Sterling. How you doing, Sterling?
Hey, I'm all right. I'm here for the money.
Yeah, we've been renewed for a second episode, thank God. And Sterling was clamoring to get in on the action, so now here he is. And I was hoping that this episode we could have a little bit more structure than what we had last time, because I felt like we were just grasping at straws in terms.
Grasping at webkins.
Yes, we circled back to webkins at least 5 times. That was partly my own fault of just feeling awkward.
All your fault.
So we each, I being the leader, of course, naturally, and we held an election. You guys weren't there. I said, everyone brings a topic to the table, and then we can just go through them, and maybe that'll make for some more interesting content.
You're right.
All
Can
right,
I start with my topic?
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
You
We'll
guys
just
know
jump into it.
presidents. Everybody here knows all the presidents.
Do we?
And John Quincy Adams,
John Quincy Adams, was he the 6th?
John Quincy Adams, as we all know, was the was 6th president of the United States. And I read a post on Reddit the other day that said he wanted to make negotiations with the mole people.
The mole
underground.
people?
Really?
So I looked into it a little more and found out something much more interesting.
Well, what was the original thing? Was that it?
Well, yeah, he funded an expedition to go meet the mole people in the earth and establish a trade route with them.
How were they going to get down there? They didn't have any modern day machinery.
I had to
they had a
look
bunch of
into it.
shovels and some beer.
I found out that the prevailing theory of the time was that there was several hollow earths within each other.
Yes.
And at the North Pole or the South Pole.
Which one?
The South Pole.
Okay.
There was a hole.
Oh.
The South Pole hole.
Yeah. So this guy, there's a guy named the 6th president.
The John Quincy Adams.
No. There was a guy before him, John Cleve Symes.
Oh.
Who was like the proprietor of this theory.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an assistant who was his assistant named Jeremiah Reynolds.
Yes.
So basically Jeremiah Reynolds took off without his teacher, and then he met up with John Quincy Adams, and they decided that they wanted to try to go to the South Pole and put an anchor down, because if it hit the bottom of the earth they would know it wasn't hollow. So they decided to do this. But before they could, John Quincy Adams was actually voted out of office.
Ah, damn.
Also, everyone decided it was stupid.
So were they gonna use government money to do that?
Oh, our taxes hard at work.
Yeah,
Find those
expedition
mole people.
to the center of the earth.
Well, back then, if we did end up finding mole people, those mole people would have had horrible consequences if we managed to find them.
She's a witch.
So 10 years after he got voted out of office, they established a boat. How many boats? It was an expedition to be sent out called. It has a very dumb name. The Exploring Expedition. The Expedition for Exploring. Where they would go to the South Pole and put an anchor down and see what was there.
Yeah.
Hoping they would find a bunch of smaller Earths within themselves, like a Russian nesting doll.
That's weird.
Yeah, but they didn't. You know what they did? They found Antarctica. And they also discovered how many species?
I don't know.
Wait. What?
Oh, jeez.
This will come out in post.
How much research did you do before this?
Not much.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's a
you know
good
you
story.
spell Antarctica with a C before the third T.
The
second T.
Antarctica. Spell it.
It's Antarctic.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah, everyone knew that.
They found thousands of new species, trying to find the Russian nesting doll.
Were they all penguins?
Probably. They also charted Oregon and Washington.
And Antarctica?
And somehow it's related to the foundation of the Smithsonian.
Also, I believe it's pronounced origin.
What?
Yeah, what's the origin story of that staple of Washington?
Good one, Joe.
Thank you, Jack. Sterling, your thoughts. What are you doing?
Am I supposed to speak?
Jack's making a weird hand gesture. What are you doing?
It's my turn.
What?
That is all.
Is that well?
Wow, great topic,
Lovely
Jack.
book report. So I'm just I need to know how they were planning to like make the mole people. Was the plan just to sail to Antarctica?
Yeah.
That's it. No digging underground where the moles would be.
I don't think it was specifically mole people, but there was some assumption that there was another Earth beneath the Earth that they could probably trade with. They just wanted to find out. I don't know what they expected to gain from it.
I'm sure that at that time they probably would have ended up enslaving mole people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I think they would have.
Like if they found a species of like humanoid
Intelligent,
creatures that
yeah.
weren't white.
Right.
When have we ever done that?
So that's like the hollow Earth theory or whatever.
Yeah, but it wasn't just one hollow Earth. It was like a series of successively smaller hollow Earths.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's weird, and they all fit inside each other.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
so did they also think that the Earth was round?
Idiots. I took a class last year where we learned about different theories about how the Earth functioned, and we each chose one, and I got to do he had all the options up on the board, and I said, what's the tortoise theory? Stop lifting up your shirts. Thank God this is an audio show.
So much cooler.
I was looking at he had all the options we could do up on the board, and I asked what's the tortoise theory, and he said, well, that's your project now, does anyone else want to do it with him? And no one raised their hand, and it hurt a lot. But aside from that, the point is there are a lot of different interesting theories about how the Earth functions. Like the tortoise theory that I did was, our theory is we are on the back of a giant turtle.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
And it's on top of elephants.
Mm-hmm. I've not heard that.
Yeah. Well, there are different variations. Like there was some astrophysicist or whatever, and he gave a lecture, and he goes, how does the Earth work? And some woman in the back screamed like, it's turtles all the way down! And that kind of sparked something
within me.
And that's all I have to say about that. But there are other ones too, and they're so cool. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Also, just for reference, guys, I know you can't see Joe, but he's a very scary-looking guy. So when nobody raised their hand, it was probably for good reason. I mean, he has a little vein over one of his eyes.
Stop it!
Yeah, just for reference, he's got like weird glasses
What?
and an ugly overall face, and he's short.
Yeah, but like he's a cool. Yeah, he's a guy. He is male. And he. Yes.
Sterling, let's not be too mean.
Right.
I don't want to do
Let's
this show
be
anymore.
But seriously, Joe, you are sitting in the chair next to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you go.
Joe, you are no doubt one of the guys that I have met.
Oh, wow. I can't believe I associate with you people. What is wrong? What do you need?
Never mind.
Why are you waving at me?
Never mind.
You just dissed me. You can't wave at me. You have no permission to wave at me. But anywho, my topic is I was going through Wikipedia as ADHD kids do for hours. And okay, did you know that there's such thing as a featured article in Wikipedia?
Yes.
Did you seriously?
No.
Okay. Well, for the sake of a story, a featured article, it has a little star in the top right corner. You may have noticed some of them, but they're like special articles that are used as examples for other Wikipedia writers. Like, hey, this is an article that's good. Do yours like this. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole page of articles like in topics from people to places to like transportation. And I was looking through the list, and there was a story about Harry R. Truman. I go, oh, the president? And I clicked on it. No, that's Harry S. Truman. Harry R. Truman is this old man. By the way, Harry S. Truman was a president.
I know.
So, okay, cool. Okay, so Harry R. Truman was
didn't know.
He's the guy who bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Well,
Oh.
not the pilot, but the guy who was in office.
Oh,
He was in office when World War II ended. I'm trying to teach you something. So, anywho, he was the owner and caretaker of the Mount St. Helens Lodge near Mount St. Helens in Washington State, the one above Oregon.
It's a volcano.
Yes, and this is the story of a man who stood defiant against everyone. So he was born in October 1896 in West Virginia. His parents were foresters, which meant that they took care of a forest. I had to Google that. And it was less exciting than I thought it would be.
Are you sure they weren't foster parents?
No. Yeah, I have down here. Foresters are people in charge of a forest.
That makes sense.
So, now he didn't know the exact date of his birth, Nor did he know his middle name. He just knew that he had the middle initial R. So yeah, interesting guy already, somewhat. So eventually, the Trumans moved from West Virginia to Washington State because of the cheap land and the successful timber industry. The successful timber industry in the Pacific Northwest, and they settled in the eastern portion of Lewis County. Yada yada, boring details. Now, in 1917, Harry attended high school and then he enlisted in the Army, and he trained as an aero mechanic that enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1917. Did I just repeat myself? I'm very tired.
Yep.
So, as he served in France during World War I.
Whoa.
Yeah, France.
And?
The Ratatouille place.
Nope.
What do you mean?
Wait,
no?
Ratatouille with the mouse?
Yeah, with the mouse.
And the hat?
In World War II?
That was his middle name.
Yeah.
Ratatouille.
For all the people out there who call the mouse Ratatouille, I have to say that his name
Remy.
is... Yes, thank
Remy.
you. His name is Remy.
But I think it is funnier that his name is Henry Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
Wait, can you pronounce Ratatouille real nice into the mic?
Ratatouille.
That is a lot of noise on my little laptop there. So he was in France during World War I, and he reportedly suffered injuries due to his, quote, audacious and independent nature. He was on board the SS Tuscania when it was sunk by a German U-boat, and it killed 210 people, but he was one of the survivors. He began prospecting after his honorable discharge in 1919, and he wanted to get rich. You know, that's the reason we're doing this show. He didn't
For
the money.
For the
The
money. We're in it, is why. For
Continue.
the money.
Anyway, he didn't get rich.
Oh.
So he became a bootlegger, and he was smuggling booze from San Francisco up to Washington.
Our future.
Well, certainly alcohol's legal now. So at some point, he opened up a gas station called Harry's Sudden Service.
Oh no.
I don't care if you don't want gas.
And he married the daughter of a sawmill owner. So later, Truman eventually grew tired of civilization, and he leased 50 acres of land near Mount St. Helens, and he opened up the Mount St. Helens Lodge. And at some point during the early 1930s, he divorced the first wife, the daughter of the sawmill operator, which I believe is a very scary father-in-law. He's got access to a lot of saws in a building where no one can hear you scream. So he divorced his first wife, and he married his second one in 1935. But his second marriage was short, because Truman would settle arguments by throwing his wife into the nearby lake, knowing full well she couldn't swim.
Sometimes when we're at the pool with my friends, for reference, I am an African American and cannot swim. But sometimes when I'm at the pool with my friends, especially my friend Quint, and I make him mad, he just shoves me into the deep end. And,
How does he lure you over there?
No,
Are you
he's
just always standing next to
so
him?
strong. So I can just speak for her and say that's not enjoyable.
Being thrown into a lake.
I don't like it.
As I was researching this topic, I was starting to get a little anxious about whether or not this would be interesting, and then I got to that part, and I was back on with this. So after the second divorce, he started dating a local girl, but he eventually married her sister. So while in this new area in Washington, Truman was well known for his antics, if you couldn't tell already. He got a forest ranger drunk so that he could burn a pile of brush. Yeah, he's a trickster. You're gonna fan yourself with a bus mat. It is very hot.
It's very hot.
It's fine. When we get the money, we'll have a new recording studio. It'll have a pinball machine that I'll play in the background when you guys do it.
So donate to our Patreon.
Donate to our Patreon.
Patreon.com.
So he did a bunch of illegal stuff too. He was poaching. He stole gravel from the National Park Service. Who steals gravel?
I just go out on the road and take some.
Yeah, gravel's everywhere. Was it like such a hot commodity back in the 1930s?
Well, see, the thing is...
They couldn't make rocks real small back then.
The thing is, if you just go out and get gravel from the roads and whatnot, people will start to question you. You know,
When
if
the
you go
road goes
steal
away.
it from the national parks. First of all, and they have very, very nice gravel. You know, it's the national parks. Come on.
If there's one thing I know about the national parks, it's their gravel.
The finest gravel in the land.
The finest gravel in the 7 seas.
I actually hear they put gold into their gravel. So.
So,
That's not true.
so So he stole gravel, and he had a fake game warden badge so that he could fish in prohibited areas. This guy was wild.
He is living the boomer dream.
He really is.
I don't know if any of you guys watch Supernatural, but it's kind of like that when they ask for their ID and they just flash it up real quick for 2 seconds.
It doesn't only happen in
No,
Supernatural.
I was just making.
Okay, go on.
Isn't it magic in Supernatural?
Yeah, but they don't use magic. They just flash their badges.
All right, we'll cut that out.
Just forget.
So Truman drove a pink 1957 Cadillac, and he loved discussing politics. Now, he was well known for hating Republicans, hippies, young children, and especially old people.
Oh, no.
Now we're getting to where he's most well known, like what he's most well known for. So during the late 70s, there was significant volcanic activity from Mount St. Helens, near where his lodge was, if you remember correctly.
I do. I said it was a volcano, and Sterling said I was smart.
I never said Jack was smart, for the record.
We're recording this.
For reference, I'm gonna cut what he said out and say that I am smart.
So as all so go ahead, Sterling.
Nothing.
No, go ahead.
No, I win. Keep going.
All right, cool. Jack wins.
Jack's stupid.
Well, now you just opened up a whole new can of worms. So during the late 70s, there was significant volcanic activity from Mount St. Helens, and he kept getting interviewed by the local news. Because of the lodge. Stop picking at your belly button.
I'm not.
You're disturbing me.
I'm not picking at my belly button. It's just hot in here.
It is very hot. I am sweating, but I'm handling it like a professional. I will sweat in your seat and get it all disgusting. Don't touch me. And
Let the record show that Joe has a sweaty forehead.
well, yeah. I'm surprised that you don't. Do you? Do you not have a sweaty forehead?
It's damp.
Your brow must be moist.
I'm not
I
sweating either.
keep that dang furrowed brow on me.
I feel bad for you, Sterling. You're wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Stupid. Anywho, so
And Jack isn't wearing any pants.
I am wearing
Or
pants.
underwear, for the record.
we are naked except for Sterling. I mean, he had no idea what he was getting himself into when he wanted to be on this show. So, Truman was interviewed by local news about the activity, and he kept saying that he believed the danger was exaggerated. He was reported as saying, "I don't have any idea whether it'll blow, but I don't believe it to the point that I'm going to pack up. If the mountain goes, I'm going with it. This area is heavily timbered. Spirit Lake is between me and the mountain is a mile away. The mountain ain't gonna hurt me." So, in more interviews, he described how earthquakes were starting to knock him out of bed. So, you know what he did? You know how he responded? He moved his mattress down to the basement. So,
Wait.
Yeah. He just didn't give a shit. Did
that help?
Yeah, I mean, I guess having the mattress on the floor is probably it's less of a distance to fall.
Why didn't you just put it on the floor? Why do you have to go in the basement?
I don't know. I guess the basement is safe from tornadoes as well as earthquakes.
It is safer from tornadoes. But wouldn't it be worse for earthquakes?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm not sure of his reasoning here. But yeah, so he moved his mattress to the basement and he just kept living his life. And scientists kept making claims about the volcano, and he said, "The mountain has shot its wad and it hasn't hurt my place a bit. But these goddamn geologists with their hair down to their butts won't pay no attention to old Truman." So naturally, Truman became somewhat of a folk hero in that area. He was the 1970s equivalent of what going viral was. You know, he had songs and poems written about him. He got fan letters. He got marriage proposals. He made the front page.
Marriage proposals?
Yes, people send him marriage proposals.
And all he had to do was not move?
Exactly.
Oh, I have so much staying to do.
Yeah, this dude made the front page of the New York Times for this, and the San Francisco Examiner. He made National Geographic, the Today Show, Time Magazine, Life Magazine, Newsweek, Reader's Digest. There was nothing else to talk about, I guess. It's like old man stays in house. And one author quoted him as he described him like, "His fiery attitude, brass speech, love of the outdoors, and fierce independence made him a folk hero the media could adore." And they did. They were eating this up. Because,
with a spoon.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a metaphor.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a story about this kid who wouldn't get out of bed to go to school. And all the kids in the neighborhood were like, "You gotta go to school." He's like, "I'm not getting out of bed." And then the mom's like, "I made you an egg." And he's like, "I'm not getting out of bed." And the police officer came, he's like, "You gotta go to school." He's like, "I'm not getting out of bed." And they're like, "I guess he's just gonna stay in bed. Here, Mr. Officer, you can have the egg." And that's how the story ends. And I don't remember the moral aside from don't go to school. So
That was an egg
sounds
commercial.
Sounds like a fake story. But okay.
I don't remember what it was called, but I remember hating it. And so over time, the area was mostly evacuated because this was starting to become somewhat of a problem. And so the area was just totally deserted except for a handful of scientists and some security officials, and of course old Truman staying up there in his house. Now on May 17th, they tried one last time to persuade him to leave. Didn't work. He was determined to prove these scientists wrong. He was going to stay there in that cabin, in that lodge. What is there a difference?
No.
In that clodge. And he wasn't going to listen to nobody.
Personal labin.
A little lodge cabin.
Well, actually, no. A lodge is waterproof.
Is it?
No. I got you again.
I was thinking of like waterlogged. It's
No.
like, and so if something's a water
I'm
lodge.
just gonna lie to Joe on every episode.
Yeah,
and
I'm
every
gonna trick
time.
him at least once every episode.
I'm looking forward to doing the show with you.
Did you know that for the first 6 years of their lives, cows can't move their back legs? Like, let the record show that is true.
Your Honor.
Continue, Joe.
So, yeah, May 17th, they tried one last time to get him out to leave. Didn't work. So on the morning of May 18th, the volcano erupted. Now, the eruption caused the whole northern side of the mountain to collapse, resulting in the largest landslide ever recorded. But Truman never moved. He stayed in that lodge, and you'll never guess what happened next.
He died.
He died.
He died.
He died.
I will
He was
guess.
buried under 150 feet of landslide debris, along with his 16 cats.
Oh,
Wait, and no wives?
No
All
wives.
The marriage proposals.
Yeah. People were saying, like, oh, he probably lived. He was talking about a mine shaft that had food. I don't think he made it to the mine shaft.
Where did he get all the cats from? Did
The cat store, Jack.
Did he have 16 cats before, or did his wives send him cats? Like, his future wives, did they send him cats as like an offering? or
As an
something?
offering.
I was going to say hot topic.
Marry me and you can keep this cat. If you know what I mean. Wink.
Yeah, the one
Sterling,
thing.
explain.
No.
So, yeah, he died. Truman died. 16 cats died. Although Truman was gone, his legacy will never be forgotten. The man, this dude was a legend, like legit. He lived life his own way. Took no nonsense. There were so many books and songs written about him. Stop counting. I know I
I'm
do
helping.
that. I know I do that a lot.
You're on
Ron
two.
Swanson.
And
Because he lived his life his own way. He'll die the way...
he'll die the way he lived, non-existent. So yeah, took no nonsense from anyone. His favorite actor, Art Carney, played him in the 1981 docudrama St. Helens. There was a restaurant opened in Anchorage, Alaska that was named after him, and they served dishes such as Harry's Hot Molten Chili, which I think is a little bit in poor taste.
Harry Hot Molten Chili.
So yeah, that is the story of Harry R. Truman.
You know, I don't know why people always try to control what you do when it comes to your own life.
Because they don't want you to die.
No, but that's the thing.
If I want to die, it's my God-given right.
Nothing-
That's what the Second Amendment's for.
That's
That's
nope.
free
No, honestly, okay. But that's the thing. Like, obviously, you know, if you're suicidal, I do encourage you to go get help. But if you just want to live the way that you live and die the way that you died, like wearing seatbelts, like that's stupid. You know, how can you get ticketed for not wearing a seatbelt in your own car, your own property?
You might get launched out of the car and hit
So what? That's my
Someone.
choice.
It's my choice.
And when it happens, I will regret not wearing a seatbelt, but it's my dumbass decision.
I suppose.
So therefore, like,
But if you get into a head-on collision and launch through your windshield,
And you hurt
Then
the
it's
other-
my
you could-
choice
well, you
for
could
them
hit-
to die.
well, I guess you would be launched into their
see,
passenger
that's
seat.
what we call crime. That's what we're trying to prevent.
But it's not muck duck if it's not planned. Murder.
Manslaughter? You're going for manslaughter sounds so much worse.
I know.
I'd rather be a murderer than a manslaughterer.
Because manslaughter, it's like, oh, whoopsies, rather than, you know, cold,
Did I
calculated.
do that? Okay.
All right, Sterling, you want to go next?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
You have no choice.
Well, you wanna,
Yeah.
sorry. Do you want to go last?
I'll go first.
All right, we'll
Alright,
just
so-
start over.
All right, so I just brought to the table a couple of hypothetical situations.
Ooh.
So, we're going to start with a couple and then end on one that I thought of that I thought was really pretty cool. So, let's see. Just a couple to think before we actually get into it. So, one, if you could change one thing about how the human body has evolved, what would it be?
Penis where belly button is.
Nope.
Belly button where penis is.
Ooh.
You said that so fast.
He's been thinking about this for weeks.
Before the show even started. If they could change one thing about how the human race evolved. Jack, any
I'm
suggestions?
thinking about my hands.
Webbed.
Well, Jack,
Webbed. Honestly, I've
Web
always
hands?
thought... I've always thought that
how would we be able to play the knife game with webbed hands? You ever think about that? How are we supposed to play the knife game?
I always thought that it would be pretty cool to like swim and explore the ocean the same way that
You can't breathe though.
I was just gonna say gills.
I was gonna say gills with wet. Jack, you and I are on the same
So,
wavelength. It's almost
it's
like we can say the same exact thing at the same exact time without making any mistakes.
I wish I had the connection you guys had.
Okay, so the Earth is like 2/3 water, or 3/4 or something.
There's some water.
It's like 70% water.
It's going down.
So it's between those.
Yeah.
But if you had gills, you could live anywhere in the water.
That's true.
Well,
But imagine like building a house underwater. That would...
Subnautica.
Everything's lighter underwater because of water.
It would be easier.
Yeah.
But like things would rot. Like we'd have to build all our stuff out of stone.
I couldn't use my laptop down there.
Waterproof laptop.
How could I print things?
Waterproof
paper.
paper.
What good would a waterproof printer do if it's still paper?
You print into an air bubble and then send it to.
Well, we could use the land for like business, and the water
And the
for
water
partying.
For what?
Partying.
Partying. A warty.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't like that name.
It's like day party, but just a water party. It's just a warty.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still hung up on this evolution thing because I've been thinking about this recently. Okay, so
Evolution is fake.
I don't believe
science is a liar sometimes.
I just don't really get the whole dinosaur thing.
It's not for me, dog. But yeah, so we evolved from the monkeys, right? Shouldn't we be more... Okay, don't do quotation marks.
I'll be honest, I believe in evolution, but, and I know this isn't, we're not getting into this. I believe in evolution.
We're gonna try our best not to.
I believe in evolution, but thinking that we came from monkeys, that's not me. Also, evolution is still a theory when it comes to human. It's still called the theory of evolution. It's just taught as fact. But it's not fact.
These liberals.
It's taught. It's still called the theory of evolution.
Well, it's very hard to get something to be a scientific fact. There's like gravity.
You gotta get like a permit or something.
Is gravity still a theory?
You gotta go down to the office.
All right, but go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, right. So if we supposedly came from monkeys, shouldn't we be better? Like, shouldn't we be covered in hairs and like, so, more monkey? Or are we going backwards in terms of like, because monkeys are able to, they have hands for feet. They're very strong. They're very agile.
And they have tails.
We can't do anything. Monkey babies can like climb trees. A human baby just lays there.
Devolution.
Oh, the de-evolutionator.
No, but yeah, okay, Joe,
we
that's
should
actually
be
a very
more
good point.
capable of things.
We should kill science.
Now I hate myself.
I feel like, okay, so I've been thinking about this. I feel like that if there is a God, I'm agnostic, but if there is a God, he created humans for food for the other animals, because we are incapable. We are just fleshy sacks of meat and protein that are slow and not very
fast.
Flash, 100-yard dash.
Are humans faster than like
a cheetah?
orangutans?
Yes.
I don't know. Well, like moving from tree to tree. I feel like if a squad of orangutans rolled up and wanted to kill, they could.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
the only reason we're still here is because we had weapons.
And we can do math.
But that's the thing. Humans have the intellect above the animals. That's why, in Christianity, God placed human above all the animals. So Adam and Eve,
We don't talk about
We don't talk about
She
you.
kind of messed things up.
But so Adam had the responsibility of naming all the animals. God was like, you rule over them, whatever.
How did he come to
Use
butterfly?
them for meat. What?
How did he come to
Oh,
butterfly?
yeah. I was talking to Joe about this the other day. Do you think like God brought him a mosquito and he was like, "That's called a fly because it flies," and then God brought him a bird. He was like, "Oh no,
I made a mistake. I made a mistake.
can I undo?" No.
What is like? He brought him a
My word is absolute.
He brought him a rat. He's like, okay, that's a rat. He brought him a muskrat. It's like that rat is muskier. I want to talk about animal names.
Yeah. All right, but oh, should I?
I don't know. Do y'all have anything else to say about animal names?
Were we talking about people?
We were, but as
I was
long as
having
we're
fun.
on that, if
Go
you
ahead.
could breed a hybrid animal of any two species, what would you choose?
Hybrid.
Girl and cat.
Gorilla
girl.
cat? Oh, girl and cat.
Oh no.
No,
No.
Jack, no.
Cat girl.
I would do a snake and a whale and make a snail.
Do you guys remember Spy Kids? Spy Kids 2?
I don't remember. I repressed that.
Okay, Spy Kids 2, when they went to the island, there were a bunch
The
of...
Island of Lost Dreams.
The Island of Lost Dreams. Thank you, Jack. When they went to the Island of Lost
All the
Dreams,
freaky
thank you,
people?
Jack. They had a bunch of animal hybrids, like the spider monkey was super strong.
Was it a monkey with 8 legs, or like?
It was like a monkey. It was like a monkey centaur that had the
It had 8 legs. I
from the
think.
abdomen up. It was a
spider?
gorilla, but from the waist down, it was.
Oh,
a
like
spider.
Mr. Waterford from Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah.
Or
yeah,
what,
Yes,
what was it?
yes.
Water News. Water News.
Water News, really?
Yeah, it was
The
Water News.
boss.
Yeah, but yeah. So I always thought that was pretty cool. Like the snake lizards they made.
Slizzards.
The slizzards, yes. Those were terrifying. But
Lizards.
Like, lizards. The lakes.
A snake lizard is a weird choice.
The snake
Yeah.
It's
lizard.
just like a
It's just
snake
two
and then a
reptiles.
snake
It's just
with
a lizard
legs.
with less legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just always thought that was an interesting topic. Like,
Also, going back to the Bible, I think it's funny that before the first sin or whatever, snakes had legs. And then, no, this is in the Bible.
Yeah,
and
it
then God was like, "You did a bad thing. You don't get legs anymore. Now you have to eat dust."
God is ruthless.
So it's just like a snake walking around. All of a sudden, he's like,
Well, I feel like not having legs really helped them in the long run, though.
"Yeah,
In the long run.
the long slither."
There's silence in the studio.
Yeah, that is some dead air right there.
All right, but considering that we're getting close to the time,
Are we? We might just go for another
Sterling
hour.
just wants to leave because he's too hot.
no, I'm not hot. No, I'm hot. I'm good looking.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
hot.
For reference, Sterling is good looking.
Thank you, Jack. All right, but so the last hypothetical I wanted to bring up was, what if you had the ability?
You gotta stop fanning yourself. That might be picking up on the audio.
What if you had the ability to switch health conditions with somebody just by touching them, but you couldn't really control it? So whoever,
Vein.
so really, so really, whoever you touched, you switch health conditions with. So what I.
Yeah, that's where I screamed.
So what I used as a example was like, you could stab yourself and then go and touch your enemy. And then they would have a stab wound, but you would have whatever health conditions they had. So if they had AIDS, now they have a stab wound, but you have AIDS,
So, like, a paralyzed person could touch you, and then you
Well,
get paralyzed.
Yeah, and then,
Paralyzed people don't touch many things.
well, it depends where you're paralyzed from, but yes.
Wait. Like, what if someone with no legs touched someone who's paralyzed from the waist down?
They get their legs.
Yeah,
But is it worth it?
Oh wait. Oh, someone with no legs touches someone's
Who's paralyzed from the waist down?
Well, I think their legs would start working,
Their
but they
legs-
wouldn't have any.
Their legs would grow.
Wait, no. Is having no legs considered a medical condition?
Well,
I mean, I'd say, yeah, it's like I don't want to say deformity, but it is.
Well, it depends on.
it's a
like,
handicap.
If you were born with no legs,
Yeah.
or you lost them in a chopping accident.
Shopping, yes.
Yeah, the show Chopped used to be much.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, during that season when they did the French Revolution. Ooh. Sterling, I don't know if you know about the French Revolution.
I know about the
Guillotine.
Yeah, I know.
Who died? Name everybody who died in Revolution. Since you love history
you're so
much.
down with Revolution. Name 3 of Robespierre's albums.
Viva la Revolution.
I like a bread.
and
more wine,
we
the people.
But back
It's got
to
2 meanings.
But back to the topic. It's like you could literally go to somebody who had cancer, touch them, have cancer for a little bit, and then touch your enemy. And then
So you would just go and get yourself as messed up as possible, and they'd be like, "Ha!"
reverse.
Yeah, it's like when a doctor says, "You have 3 months to live." You're like, "Hey, doc," you put your hand on your shoulder.
I have a movie title.
What?
Tag You're Sick.
I thought it was a good one, Jack. I did.
They should remake Tag.
Nope.
Remember that funny Jeremy Renner movie?
Did anyone see it?
No.
I know.
Was the premise just tag? Hold
Yeah,
on,
if they
I'm
played
looking-
a long game of tag.
It's
How
based
well
on a
did
true
it do?
story.
Tag.
How long was it?
Tag.
Huh?
Movie.
They do it once a month, or like a month out of the year.
Wow, it got a 56 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm excited for the upcoming
56 out of 57?
50. It got a 6.5 on IMDb. I'm excited for the new what's his face? Bruce
Lee?
No,
John?
bald man.
Kane?
Never mind, the joke is gone.
Willis?
Yes, the joke is gone. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, let's start over. I'm excited for the new Bruce Willis movie about Duck Duck Goose. That was the joke.
I don't get it.
Me either.
Okay.
Not funny, didn't laugh.
Can't you hear me not laughing? Listen.
We can't have dead air. We
What?
can't have dead air. Stop it.
Why not?
Why not?
That one was too long.
I'm working with amateurs.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Let the record show that Joe is sitting in a comically large blue chair.
Oh, I actually had one more
Yes, lay it on us.
hypothetical. This is your the big one. So,
Are you making this up as you go?
no. If you could actually sell your soul to the devil, what would you sell it for? One item.
Oh, like in trade?
Yeah, in exchange for one item, what would it be?
Sterling soul.
No.
I also
No.
picked Sterling Soul.
Alright, well, it's unanimous. Have fun, sir. So, what would you trade it for?
One item?
I don't know, because that's like hell forever. Hell.
But-
Is it really, or do you just become a ginger?
What if you asked for the best sandwich?
Ooh.
And then you would know.
But then they put onions on it, and you don't like
Or
onions.
it's just
What
like-
if the best sandwich in the world, objectively, is something you don't like?
Or it's just like a pretty good PB&J.
Like it's an uncrustables.
No milk.
Be careful what you wish for.
Did you guys have cable growing up?
Yeah.
I did.
What were your
Well,
What were the
sometimes.
numbers?
48 for Cartoon Network, 73
Ew.
for Disney Channel,
Ew.
and 32 for Nickelodeon.
Yeah, what were yours?
That was early cable though, like before everybody got like satellite dishes.
Oh
like,
yeah, mine were all in the double digits.
yeah.
Okay, mine actually makes sense. Okay, hear me out. They just make sense because that's what I grew up with. It was 19 for Disney Channel.
What the heck?
I'm gonna throw up.
It was 60 for Cartoon Network.
Let the record show that Jack is throwing up.
That is Jack. And here's the cool thing. You know when in the episode where Patrick goes to boating school where he says his name is 24? That was the channel. That was the channel number. I thought it was meant to be, and I was mind
It
blown.
wasn't.
I was
Nickelodeon is 32.
No, Nickelodeon is 43.
Nickelodeon.
What?
Is Nickelodeon. That is true
32
TV. 43 is true TV.
That's 44.
Well, no, that's Noggin.
32 was ESPN too.
Okay, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so 73 was Disney Channel.
Mine was 57.
57?
19 because that's when everyone stops watching.
Okay, wait, but listen.
19 is when you stopped watching Disney Channel.
I don't know.
Okay, listen to this number for Cartoon Network. 64.
No!
Hey, it was close enough. It's 60.
Doesn't that fill you
48
with
sounds
joy?
so much better.
It's a multiple of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32.
What is
It
So
that?
goes
was
all the way up.
48.
Is it?
Let the record show that Sterling thinks 48 is a direct multiple of 32. It's a stack in Minecraft. What more can I say?
What was your Cartoon Network again, Joe?
It was 60.
That's Food Network.
That just sounds poor.
What?
That just sounds poor.
Yours
Is
was
what I
70,
said.
yours is 78.
73
All
for
the,
Disney
all
Channel.
the channels above 63 were for old people.
What was 63? 63 was something
Animal
weird.
Planet.
I think it was a kids channel.
Noggin, Rudel, PBS
Rudel.
Kids.
What is Rudel?
No, Rudel is actually just the kangaroo's name for PBS Kids.
Okay,
PBS was sick.
Okay.
PBS did slap.
I had a friend who.
Do you guys remember?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were speaking first. I was actually
You guys
just.
have Nick on PBS? Or is that
Nick?
something I made up? Because we didn't have cable like the whole time we were growing up, but we had Nick on PBS that came on sometime. I think
pioneers.
they would play Nickelodeon on PBS.
They would play some Nickelodeon, Nick Jr. shows on PBS.
Oh, that's probably what it was.
So
Because I always thought it was
just like a
I
host?
was talking. I thought it was the goldfish thing because I was like Nick on PBS, and I would just add goldfish on the end.
Nick on PBS. Goldfish. Let the record show that young Jack was an idiot.
Snack that smiles back, Nick Jr.
Snack that smiles back, children.
Okay, but did you guys ever watch Word Girl on PBS when you were
That
younger?
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Word Girl, she'd be like,
was that the one with the kid with the masks?
yeah, and then she had a captain. The Captain Huggy was her monkey.
Captain Huggy?
Captain Huggy face. Sorry.
Oh, that's what I call my Scoutmaster.
he wore a mask and a diaper and whatnot. Okay, anyways, the theme song said she was from the planet Lexicon, and
What the hell's a lexicon?
it's something that has to do with words.
It's something to do with
I read about it in
vocabulary.
my journal today. My.
Okay, shut up, my turn. So she said she was from the planet Lexicon, but when she got to Earth, she looked she literally is the spitting image of her mother. And her parents are like, yeah, we just remember you being born, when they literally picked her up from a crash landing. And I just thought that was interesting.
You're going way too deep into the lore of Word Girl.
I thought that was interesting. Word Girl's good.
I had a friend who didn't have cable. You're done. I had a friend who didn't have cable, and whenever I'd stay at his house, we watched this channel called Apex. And it's
Legends?
no.
That's a video game
I
show.
know. But yeah, it was Legends, and you got me messed up. It was called Apex, and it had Sonic the Hedgehog, the TV show, and we would watch it on Saturday morning while we ate Fruit Loops. It was weird.
Cool.
And then I'd want to go home and be with my cable. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Sounds very
I don't know what
much.
we did before cable. We played Webkins.
I think we
Club
rolled
Penguin.
the hoop
Club
with the stick.
Penguin and Pop Tropica were literally
Ooh,
my
Pop
childhood.
Webkins. Sterling, do you have Webkins?
No, I was too poor to afford a Webkins.
I only vicariously played Pop Tropica.
I still play Pop Tropica.
I didn't mess up, but I got it out.
Literally to this day, I will still play Pop Tropica.
I didn't really play it. I saw people play it like a couple times, so I have the memory of it, but I never played it that
It
much.
was so much fun. I remember my original login, and I always remember that I always had to do the islands for my sister,
Calm
and
down.
I was like, it
Calm
doesn't
down.
make.
Calm down.
And he said,
Calm down. The audio, Sterling.
The point of the game is to play it. So if I just beat all the levels for her, what's the point? But my mom always made me.
And then when you're done with her, you're gonna help me with mine. All right, should we call it? It's very warm in here.
Yes.
All right,
2, 3. We're gonna do the
It's
outro.
the end.
We're gonna do the outro at the same time.
we don't
Okay.
sing.
We don't sing.
There's no singing on
There's
this
one
show.
chant that we do that you would know if you watched the last
Okay,
one.
I did.
So obviously you
so
know.
I know.
1, 2, 3.
Closing time.
That's copyrighted.
Yeah, you can't sing that.
Oh no.
We're gonna get sued. We don't even have any money.
FBI, open up.
Oh, look,
Is that closing time?
The FBI is here.
That's not mine.
Why? I didn't even do the outro. Okay, well, I'll just do it on this mic. Thank you guys for tuning in to the second episode of We're In It For The Money. Thank you, Sterling, for coming by. This was a great recording.
I'll be back.
Yeah, hopefully. This was awesome. Jack?
Jack.
Attaboy. So, I think this episode went better than the first one.
I disagree.
Really?
Let the record show that Sterling slapped me, and I'm gonna come back with him with everything I
Well,
have.
you're the dumbass who turned off your mic early. Ah!
Ow.
Okay, well, don't slap me. I can't read Sterling. We can't make this. Don't. Oh,
Oh, God.
okay, I'm stopping it. Okay, have a good night, go Thunderbirds.